Hi, this is Nick Baisley from FilmSnobbery.com, and I'm here at the First Glance Film Festival at the Regal LA Live here in Los Angeles. And who am I here with tonight?
Judith Morrow from Winnipeg, Canada.
Canada. Oh, Canada. I love me some Canada. I really do. And what movie are you here with tonight?
Do I, that or low? Okay, I'm here with the Healing of Heather Garden.
The Healing of Heather Garden documentary. This is not, and you are, this is opening night. Are you excited?
This is quite an amazing experience. It's amazing to be in LA. I'd never been in LA before, and I met a person who became a fan of my film who invited me to come and stay with her and help me out learning about LA. So I've just been here and loving it. It's just, I never expected it to be like it is. It's just been so wonderful.
It's in your first-time filmmaker. This whole kind of experience of film festivals, not even making the film, but film festivals, all this, does this make you scared, or you seem so excited? I love your energy. We were talking before the little interview here, and you just have so much energy and so much knowledge to share about what you're doing. How are you excited? Are you scared? How are you feeling?
Not scared. No, it's more like I anticipate, like, I'm not expecting anything. Like one of the professional filmmakers in Winnipeg who's been around for a long time, he said, well, he was like worried I might be disappointed. I said, if 10 people come to my screening, I'm happy, because I just love documentary filmmakers are some of my favorite people in the world, and I love the chance. I met such wonderful filmmakers is one thing, and every time I screen, I also meet people from the audience who come to me who are inspired by the movie, and they want to talk more, and they tell me their story, and I hear so many stories from people, and this movie attracts really positive kinds of energy, and so how could I be scared? Because I was in Texas. I was just totally flabbergasted to get into film festivals, and that's been great. So I was in Denton, Texas, that wonderful Thin Line Film Festival down there, documentary film festival, 5 days and 5 nights, and meeting all kinds of people. And I guess the woman from Roku television channel, Susan Davis, founder of that, became a really good friend of mine that you were talking about. Just a beautiful person doing movies of inspiration, setting up a TV channel just for that out of New York, Roku channel. I'll just mention that again.
Roku,
yes.
I own one.
And she's just launched. She's just launching April 1st, I think.
So for the people who aren't here and couldn't be here to see your movie, tell everyone what it's about.
Well, there is a woman who had an illness that most people know a little bit about. It's one of the autoimmune disorders that is a huge impact in North America. It's extremely high incidence. And for the prognosis when people get MS, I'm sure you've seen movies about it and heard stories about the terror and the horror that it brings to people. When I first started this journey, there was a story in the Winnipeg Free Press about a mother being led off to jail who'd assisted her son to kill himself. People with MS often do suicide because the illness is so terrible. And this is a filmmaker who worked in a Montreal MS ward, and he couldn't face his future. And if you could imagine anything more terrible and terrifying than a parent who felt she had to assist her son's request to do that. A friend of this woman, Heather Garden is her name. It's called The Healing of Heather Garden, and Heather Garden is her real name. He had MS about the same time she did, and he's been in palliative care for 10 years now in a wheelchair and circulating time around feedings. So this woman, when I got to know her, we're from the same community, so she was well known in the town. She's quite a well-liked person, and she was healthy, and she had just established a multi-million-dollar business with her friend. She was robust in robust health, and she had been. I had seen her when she was using the cane to get around, and I knew she'd had the relapses and was in the wheelchair. And it's an amazing story, and she became a friend of mine. And I'm also a therapist by background, and so she and her friend, who was her healer person, really connected with me, and they really trusted me, and they did want to tell the story. So that's kind of how I got started. In the fall of 1991, Heather Garden, an athletic 27-year-old, experienced a strange sensation in her leg. 3 months later, she was debilitated by an attack of a mysterious disease.
She really hardly had the use of her hands. She could hardly spoon feed herself with soup there when she had some of her attacks.
There was periods of times when I couldn't physically move myself. I had to have Terry move me, carry me.
Heather was diagnosed with secondary progressive multiple sclerosis. The medical system doesn't know the cause and has no cure.
It was living this life of acceptance and resign yourself to the fact that, you know, you have this disease and it's going to get worse.
Society says, you go here and they get you better. If they say you're going to die, you are going to die.
Heather believes she was able to do something the medical system couldn't. Cure herself.
Time to go to work. Stop and get the teeth sharpened.
What made you decide that the documentary form was the right way to tell this story versus writing a book about it or going out on a national or worldwide speaking tour? You know, why, especially as a first-time filmmaker, say, I'm going to take the chance, I'm going to commit the time, the energy, the money, and involve myself in this person's life to create this, to share it in this way?
Well, I didn't know it was going to take 10 years, and I didn't know it was going to take sometimes 15-hour days locked in a little dark closet going through editing and script writing stuff. I did not know that. I'm not sure if you told me that it was going to be quite that way, but there's been so much really wonderful things happen along the way. Documentary form, when I became really close friends with these women, and they were such incredible women. They really changed my life in many ways. And they had an alternate reality. They had an alternate world. It would be very hard to write about that alternate world and to tell you so much about it. So I just, I'm not, saying bad things about anybody or anything. I just wanted to take you into their world, like I was taken into their world. And how do you do that unless you just show people? Like a picture's worth 1,000 words. So I actually thought it was going to be easier to do a documentary than to make a magazine article because I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about film when I made the decision that that's what I was going to do. I went out and bought a camcorder for $1,200, and that was my first big investment. I didn't have sound in the first interview, but it was a great interview.
Don't feel bad. I've done this for 6 years, and I still have had instances where I don't have sound on interviews. That's why I also occasionally go glance at the camera. I'm like, yep, still sound. We're good.
Well, sound's a killer for me. I do everything else, but the sound, I just really never got that mastered.
So you're here at the FirstGlance Film Festival. You're in Hollywood. Where are you going from here?
Well, I just want to tell you where I just came from because that was so exciting. I got into the Canadian International Film Festival in Vancouver, and I just won one of the top awards there, a first-time filmmaker.
I was going to say, you're no longer first-time filmmaker. You're now award-winning filmmaker.
That's true, yes. I got the Special Jury Award for the film best liked by the jurors.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Fantastic. The production values are not high. There's a lot of artistic things that I'm sure could be done differently, but the story's powerful, and my story editor is one of the best in Winnipeg. He's a 30-year veteran. It turned out he came to help me for 2 hours one night because I needed to submit a little cut for a grant application. Well, he stayed 12 hours and he was hooked and he wanted that story told. So 2 years, he just came every 2 weeks and he guided and worked with me and showed me what to do, and he would not take money from me because he knew I could not pay him. So he was just behind me 100%. People like that just made the journey possible. It's a community effort. I could never have done this without the Winnipeg Film Group and Video Pool and all the artists and support that I got to carry this to me. People just really supported me in that story.
Well, I want to say congratulations on getting it made and the awards as well. And then from here, I hear you're not stopping here. You've got this, the train is rolling and you're going with it. Where are you going from here?
Well, who knows? I might get into more film festivals. But in terms of really the goal and the objective, to see that you have discovered, it's common sense. It's not a magic pill. It's nothing fancy. It's something that Heather's an ordinary person. But as I was talking to you, I said, you know, when you cut your finger, how do you heal it? And I said to you also, and you thought, well, yeah, you don't really do a lot. Your body really does that, doesn't it? And I said, if you wanted to make your body healthy, what would you have to do to take care of it, to build your immune system? So you answered that pretty well, and most people can if they stop and think about it. It's kind of, there's that, and yes, there is more to it. Yes, there is. There's the whole neuroscience about how thinking affects your hormones and how thinking changes your neurosynaptic connections. So there is a discipline to it, and there is you learning and being dedicated to yourself and making those hard decisions sometimes that some things and some people are not positive for you to be with, and needing to make changes in your overall life. And that's not an easy road, and that takes commitment. And I think to make that commitment to yourself, you have to have some belief that you can do it. So this is a movement, really. There are people coming to me who have healed from MS, and people who've healed from other things that were terrible. And they tell me their stories, and some of them don't want those stories to be public. They don't want people to know that they were sick. And people come to me who just feel so inspired by seeing the story and seeing that there is a crack of light, there is a dawn. That I just had a fellow who has a 4-year-old son, and he said, I promised my wife I was going to run with my son. And he just transformed by seeing, and I gave him a lot of pieces of steps that he could take. And so part of it is that, yes, I've told the story, given the picture of hope, and people are coming forward who want to use it to move on in a direction. I loaded the story with what she did, but it's not really stated explicitly because it would have destroyed the story.
I understand.
So, you know, Terry Walls, who's a medical researcher who had secondary progressive MS, who's been on TED Talks, is a supporter of my film. She's made commentary on it. She's seen it. I may work with her to do a next step where I bring some people who've healed forward, and Terry gives a little bit of an explanation for it. Lupi Padilla, as you've met, the life coaches that I'm working with here, and that was my background. I'm a strategic coach, and so I am coaching some people too, which is almost a little bit of research as to what do people need to know. And how do I want to do a booklet for it. We're talking about videos. We're talking about interactive website. And those are all big things. And but if I did the film, maybe I can take those next steps.
I was going to say, once you've already mastered this for the first time and got awards for it, the rest of it should just be cake for you, right?
Cake. Getting into doing the film festival and Without a Box was not a piece of cake. That was really murder. That was harder than anything I'd ever done in my life because I am not a marketer. I don't do that.
Well, you're doing a great job marketing right now by chatting with me. I want to say thank you for talking with us and for being here at the FirstGlance Film Festival in Los Angeles and for making the trip. Thank you.
And you're so terrific. For people who support independent filmmakers, the last person I met at Vancouver is a man who is doing a tremendous movie. He put 1.2 million of his own funds into it, and the passion. I met another filmmaker.
I'm gonna have to meet that guy.
Yes, he's Polar Ice. It's the journey of ice in the Great Lakes, and he's wonderful. And there's another fellow, Ian Thomas, who did the story about Fukushima, and he put his life at risk because he knew that story had to be out there. So I'm meeting independent filmmakers like that whose lives are on the line, and they dedicate to this profession. And so people who support us, it's wonderful to meet you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.